We rode in this big blue bus that said vote Democratic all across it. And one side and there was in English and then side it was in Spanish. And yes, we went through a lot of rural Texas. And I often joke and say, nobody threw tomatoes at us, nobody threw eggs at us, but the Democrats are coming out of the closet. They're coming out to meet each other. There was at least one or two situations where there was over 50 or 60 Democrats, and they would look at each other and go, I didn't know you were a Democrat. And so we're bringing our Democrats together, and a lot of folks that are like-minded but don't wish to identify with any party. But how many of you have seen the 2-minute video, Small Thing? I think I'm going to tell that. Sorry, Mom, I'm going for it. They're trying to get us going. As you heard, I was born in the poorest neighborhood in San Antonio. And when I was in middle school, a substitute teacher literally took me aside and said, I think you're college material, but in order for you to do well, you got to go across town to the other side of town and the other school. So I listened to him. And every day, as every school day, I would jump on a public bus and go down to sometimes two of them, depending on how late I got up or whatever, to get to the other side of town to go to another school. And it took me just a little while to figure out that when it rained, I was the only one with muddy shoes. You see, the neighborhood that I came from had no paved streets or sidewalks. So when it rained, I do what I fondly now call, back then I didn't like it at all, but now I fondly call the puddle dance. You jump this puddle, then you jump the other puddle, then you jump the other puddle. And I often joke that I became a pretty decent country and western dancer because I already knew the moves so well. But no matter how many times you jumped, since it was all dirt, you ended up in mud. Sometimes I didn't quite make it to the end of the puddle. Those were the worst times because your socks would get all wet. But when I actually reached the end, there was usually mud. So I would end up at school with mud on my shoes. So I would immediately go to the bathroom and start wiping my shoes. My mom always taught us that no matter how poor you are, you can still be clean. So I wanted to make sure that I cleaned my shoes and look halfway decent. And that's when I realized that I'm the only one in the bathroom cleaning my shoes. So I look out into the neighborhood that I was now going to school in. They had beautiful paved streets and sidewalks. When I go back now, they look pretty normal. But when I saw them back then, they were just gorgeous to me. I thought it was the neatest thing because you could actually walk on a sidewalk and not get all muddy. But I am so honored that that teacher redirected me. Again, a public school teacher redirected me, and because of that, I was able to go on to college, to the military. I was a federal agent for over 20 years, and then the proud sheriff of Dallas County for the last 13 years. And actually, I need to cut it short because I'm thinking, you guys need to get out and knock on doors. And I need to just end it right there and say, I am so excited to be a Democrat because I believe in giving people a fighting chance, an opportunity. Nobody's asking for handouts. Nobody's asking for giveaways. We want opportunity. And public service should be doing that. I love to tell people that public service defines itself. Service to the public. Public servant means a servant for the public, not for lining up your pocketbooks, taking care of your donors, giving out contracts to your friends. Needs to be about the public and how we serve Texas. Now let me talk to you about door knocking and phone banking. You are the lifeblood of our party. There is no way I could get known all over Texas in the short time that I've done. It's been less than 8 months for me. There is no way I could get over it. And I often joke and say, why couldn't I run for the governor of Vermont? It'd be so much easier. But no, I had to pick Texas, but Texas is where we have a need. And so I want to thank you because have you seen the numbers?
No.
Have you seen the numbers of the people that are voting? It's 2 to 3 times bigger. And not just in the major cities. Alice, Texas, Alpine, Raymondville, all these little towns that we stopped at. You know, they told us the same thing. I remember one lady walks up to me and she says, I'm so excited. We usually have about 2,000 vote in early voting. I'm going, that's half the size of my precinct, you know. But she said, we have 7,000 this year. And I said, boy, that's about triple. And the same thing is happening in Dallas, in Houston, in Austin. And I can't help but think that those numbers are more ours than the other side. I can't help but think that just like I was, because I left a really nice job, I stepped down to run for office because, pardon the expression, I give a darn. I give a darn what's happening in Texas, and I care about that. And it's also important that we do this block walking and that I come see you for our down ballot folks. Every election is local. You know, the people that serve you locally are some of the most important folks. When I become governor, it'll be difficult because there's 254 counties and I can't tell you how many cities. I knew it at one time, but I can't tell you. So there's a lot. So you've got to be general to everybody. But the local folks are the ones you can touch and the ones you can go talk to, and they'll come to us and tell us. So I'm so grateful that you're out there being the lifeblood of our party, and you cannot imagine how wonderful it is to know that 10, 15, 20, 30 people are out there saying, knocking on doors, saying, we want to make a difference. Thank you so much, and I won't hold you up so you can get from me.